Welcome to Daily Dose Radio, a 5-minute devotional podcast studying the Psalms verse by verse. Broadcast from the ever-beautiful Sharonville, Ohio, on the sunny side of Cincinnati. Welcome back to Daily Dose Radio this week. This week we've been looking at Psalm 92, and today we're going to read verses 13 through 15. And of course, remember that Daily Dose Radio is your artisanal source, fresh and organic, sustainably produced, and responsibly handled. Today we're looking at 13 through 15, and let me read those verses for you. Those that be planted in the house of the Lord shall flourish in the courts of our God. They shall still bring forth fruit in old age. They shall be fat and flourishing, to show that the Lord is upright. He is my rock. There is no unrighteousness in him. Do you notice the end of that verse, or the end of that passage? To show that the Lord is upright. You see, why is the Lord doing all this? He's doing it so he'll have a testimony in the earth, and you're it. You're it. You're his witness in this earth. And as he blesses you with growth and with flourishing, with exaltation and anointing, with seeing and hearing, all of that, when he gives you all of those things, all of those good gifts, well, it's so that he can show himself to be upright. And you're the billboard, you're the china cabinet that displays the glories of the Lord. Let me go back to verse 13. Those that be planted in the house of the Lord. Now, really that goes right hand in hand with verse 12. The righteous shall flourish like the palm tree and grow like a cedar in Lebanon. And then you notice flourish is used again there in 13. Shall flourish in the courts of our God, those that be planted in the house of the Lord. So we're still with this tree idea. The palm tree, the cedar of Lebanon, it's planted someplace. Where is it planted? Well, in the house of the Lord, the courts of our God. Where is that? Well, for the psalmist, it was the temple and the compounds of the temple, because that is the center of their corporate worship. So where is it for the church? And let me be very traditional in my interpretation here. This place for the church is the building or the spot where the gathered believers meet weekly to worship, wherever that is. Whether I'm sitting in a church building right now recording this. It's an older building, but the church has been meeting in this building for a lot of years. And perhaps you have a church that meets in a building, or perhaps your church meets in a home. Perhaps your church meets in a school. Wherever your church meets, I think that's what's being talked about here. And let me ask you a question. When was the last time you joined the church in corporate worship in that place? Hello? I'm talking to you. You see, we want to flourish and we want to grow, but so many of us have become so put off with going to church, if I can use the colloquial, going to church. We don't want to do that anymore. And perhaps you've not been in a long time, but yet you want to flourish and grow. There is no flourishing and there is no growth if you're not regularly planting yourself amongst the congregation of believers who are worshiping the Lord on a regular basis. You must do that. This is a call out to all prodigals. It's time to come home. It's time. You need to go back to church. And I know who you are. I know you're listening to this program, and you've not been. And that's shame on you. You ought to be there. You want God's blessing? Well, how about you go attend worship with other believers? Because there you will flourish. There will be fruit in old age. There was fatness and flourishing. You see, he's using that word again there in 14. Flourishing, 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 but it's in a place. And it's where the church meets. It's where your group of believers meets. You need to be with them. Don't tell me you can do it someplace else. You're not going to flourish and grow at the ball game. You're not going to flourish and grow at the football game, the baseball game, the cricket game, the soccer game. You're not going to flourish and grow in those places. You will flourish and grow when you're with believers worshiping the Lord if you plant yourself there. And that becomes your devotion, part of your devotion. But ladies and gentlemen, really, that's just the minimum. Planting yourself in the courts of the Lord is just the minimum. It's just the beginning. But you're not going to find the blessing and the flourishing and the growth you need someplace else. You're not going to find it in your living room by yourself watching television. You're not going to find it out in the restaurant when you go to have brunch on Sundays. You're not going to find it at the ball field or wherever you happen to be on Sundays in a recreational setting. You're not going to find it, whether it's at the ball field or the lake, whether it's camping or hiking. Wherever you go, you need to be in the house of the Lord. Can I say that again? You need to be in the house of the Lord. So I want you to go there this Sunday. I see I'm out of time. But let me take these last few moments to say this to you. You need to be in the house of the Lord this Sunday, and I want you to promise me that you will go there and that you will make a commitment to begin from now on to plant yourself in that place where the Lord is worshiped. I don't want your excuses. I don't want to hear about how you've been hurt. Somebody didn't say something nice to you, or they said something mean to you. Your precious little feelings got upset. You need to get over that. If you want God's blessing, if you want to show that the Lord is upright in your life, then you need to be worshiping with believers. So I want you to go this Sunday. I want you to go and make a commitment so that you can flourish and grow. Well, I hope you'll join me again next week as we look at Psalm 93 on Daily Dose Radio. Thanks for listening to Daily Dose Radio. I'm David Smith. The music today has been performed by the Bluegrass Experiment. Thanks again for listening. I'll see you next time on Daily Dose Radio.